I will charge at this.
What grade are you in?
Primary 6. You accept the EasyLink card?
Yes.
Yay!
Hey everyone, it's your daily evening news reporter Leah. As part of the anti-drug campaign Don't Puff, Stay Tough, we are bringing you exclusive coverage into the current drug abuse situation in Singapore. Drug abuse is posing serious threats on our health. Opioids like heroin and fentanyl are known to cause organ damage such as brain, heart, lungs and kidneys. Severe cases can include death. Singapore Prison Service has noted a worrying trend in the number of drug inmates admitted. Numbers from the past years are at an all-time high of 2,000. An important trend is also emerging. A large proportion of those incarcerated have only completed secondary or primary education. To confirm further, linear regression was used to model the relationship between the number of inmates admitted and two other variables, year and education level. We have attained an adjusted R-squared value of 0.9063, meaning the regression model explains for 90.6% of the variability in the data, indicating a strong fit. In addition, all the p-values are statistically significant at 0.01%. Amongst the 6 different education levels, secondary has the highest coefficient of 3.81, followed by primary with a coefficient of 2.99. With that, we have highlighted the two prominent groups targeted for the anti-drug campaign, primary and secondary. Statistics indicate that inmates with these education levels are admitted at a rate 299% and 381% respectively, higher than those with no education. With the target group identified, what's next? Reporter Ting Shui, please.
Let's start by addressing the problem. The majority of inmates admitted to drug rehabilitation centers come from lower educational backgrounds, with secondary and primary education levels dominating the admissions. This highlights a critical issue: a lack of effective educational interventions tailored to these groups. Without proper education on preventive measures and recovery strategies, these individuals remain at risk of repeated cycles of addiction and admission. Our goal is clear. We must close this gap to reduce admissions and improve rehabilitation outcomes. However, there are some implications. First, individuals with lower education levels may not fully understand the risk of drug use or the resources available to avoid and recover from addiction. Second, these educational disparities limit access to vital information on preventive measures and coping strategies. Lastly, existing drug rehabilitation programs may not be addressing the unique needs of these groups effectively, resulting in repeated cycles of addiction and admission. To address this issue, we have some recommendations. First, regular evaluations. Conduct regular evaluations of both educational and rehabilitation programs to ensure they stay effective and adaptive to changing needs. Second, age-appropriate drug education. Introduce targeted drug education in schools, especially at the primary and secondary levels, to improve preventive efforts. Lastly, community-based interventions. Implement mentorship programs where recovered addicts can share their experience and guide others, fostering a sense of community and spirit. By taking these steps into account, we can work towards a future where education and awareness can lead to fewer admissions and better outcomes for everyone involved. So our first solution to tackling this problem is via campaigning. So we have came up with a campaigning code, Don't Puff, Stay Tough. To prevent drug abuse among primary and secondary school students, we increase the awareness of its harmful effects of drugs and foster resilience and promote a positive drug-free environment.
In the past, CNB has successfully run preventive drug education initiatives. From activity books to skits, these efforts reach students in meaningful ways. As times change, so must our approach, with platforms like TikTok dominating how young people interact. We're meeting students where they are, using creative content to spread an anti-drug message and build a strong sense of community. And now, Above the Influence, an interactive virtual escape room that empowers students to make smart choices and rise above the influence of drugs. It's a game that sticks because they live the message, not just heard it. In Room 1, students find themselves facing peer pressure. They decode a text message and make the right choice to avoid risky behavior. This introduces the importance of recognizing and resisting peer pressure. In Room 2, they uncover clues about the impact of drugs on health and academics, and learn how drugs can derail their goals. Room 3 takes them to the health lab, where they identify how drugs damage organs and explore healthy alternatives to build resilience. In the last room, they complete a personalized drug-free pledge, reinforcing their commitment to the mission. As a package, our campaign, Don't Puff, Stay Tough, is specially catered to reduce substance abuse amongst our target group and complements the government's preventive drug education initiatives.
So the conditions for IID, independence. Sample points are mutually independent, and the number of inmates admitted to the drug rehabilitation centers in 1 year does not directly affect the numbers admitted in another year, identically distributed. Sample points reflect the demographic distribution of the overall population in Singapore. For central limit theorem, the dataset has a large number of data points, which meets the requirement for the CLT to hold. Admissions across the years and education levels can be treated as independent observations. This satisfies one of the main assumptions of CLT. We want to test whether there's an improvement in the number of inmates admitted to the DRC after the campaign, which was implemented in 2019. We let mu be the average number of inmates admitted to the DRC. Our null hypothesis would be average number of inmates in 2019 is equal to average number of inmates in 2020. Our alternate hypothesis would be average number of inmates in 2019 is not equal to the average number of inmates in 2020. Using our code, we did a sample t-test and we got these results. At the 5% significance level, we will not reject the null hypothesis because the p-value is higher. After hypothesis testing, we also found the confidence interval at the 95th percentile, which gives us the following values. And this brings us to our results. The p-value indicates that the result is not statistically significant at the common 5% significance level. The 95% confidence interval includes 0, indicating that there is insufficient evidence to suggest a significant difference between the mean admissions in 2019 and 2020. This brings us to the practical significance. Although the mean admissions for 2020 are slightly lower than for 2019, the small difference may not be practically meaningful, especially given the overlap in the confidence level. There could also be the influence of external factors that dilute the ability to attribute the observed differences to the campaign, making the result less meaningful in real-world terms.
Wait, Mr. Mutu is coming!
Stop! Don't do drugs! Don't puff! Stay tough!